What's up, everyone? Welcome to the May 9th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ChipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. We have a 9-game MLB slate tonight. No weather issues, which is a nice change of pace after how this weekend went. So can just focus on the plays. Don't have to worry about games getting canceled and everything changing. As always, we're going to take a look at 3 of the top tournament stacks and 3 of the top tournament pitchers on DraftKings using the top stacks tool and the top pitchers tool on the Awesemo.com website. Starting with the top 3 stacks, number 3, the San Francisco Giants are taking on Austin Gomber tonight in San Francisco. Very difficult park to hit in. Gomber also is not a bad pitcher. So far this season, a 3.2 xFIP for Gomber, 23.4% strikeout percentage. But the Giants are projected for about 6% aggregate ownership. They also have a 6% chance of being the top stack, and they have a 4.1 implied run total tonight against the Rockies. Number 2, Philadelphia Phillies taking on Chris Flexon tonight in Seattle. The Phillies are projected for 3% aggregate ownership with about a 6% chance of being the top scoring stack. They only have a 3.7 implied run total, but they do have plenty of power and just a solid offense overall. So far this season, a 107 WRC plus and a 158 ISO for the Phillies. Flexon has not been particularly good overall. 4.55 rather xFIP for Flexon, only a 14.8% strikeout percentage. He has done a pretty good job of limiting power with 0.93 home runs per 9, but there's just power really top to bottom in this Philadelphia lineup. So even though they have a relatively low implied run total, it's still a high upside spot at low ownership. And number 1, the Milwaukee Brewers are taking on Luis Castillo tonight in Cincinnati. The Brewers are projected for about 6% ownership with about a 7% chance of being the top scoring stack. This is Castillo's first start of the season. He made a couple rehab starts in the minors. I don't expect him to go super deep into this game. So even though Castillo is a good pitcher, you have the volatility that comes with a pitcher making his first start back in the major leagues after an injury. And then you also have some added upside getting into the Cincinnati bullpen, I assume earlier than we otherwise would. I just expect them to be a little bit more cautious with Castillo today than they would be, say a month from now. Milwaukee has been a solid offensive team so far this season. They have a 105 WRC plus. They have a 170 ISO. They are in Cincinnati, which we know is a favorable hitter's park. So it just looks like a high upside spot for Milwaukee, despite facing a pretty good pitcher in Luis Castillo, making his first start in the majors this season. Now, looking at the top 3 tournament pitchers, number 3, Eliezer Hernandez is going for the Marlins tonight in Arizona. The Diamondbacks have a very healthy 4.5 implied run total, but they're a really bad offense. Hernandez hasn't been very good overall this season. He has a 4.52 xFIP. He has a 21.1% strikeout percentage, and he has allowed 2.59 home runs per 9 innings, but he's reasonably priced at $8,500. He's only projected for about 1% ownership, and we have him with an 11% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher on DraftKings. So far this season, Arizona's offense has an 83 WRC plus and has an aggregate strikeout percentage of 25.1%. Number 2, Michael Kopash, $9,500 price tag, taking on the Cleveland Indians tonight at home. Projected for about 8% ownership with a 16% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Kopash is $9,500. The Guardians have a 3.2 implied run total. Kopash has an elevated 4.3 xFIP this season, but he has struck out 25.3% of hitters. He has also walked 12.1% of hitters, so that's a bit of an issue. And the Guardians have also been very strong offensively so far. They have a 116 WRC plus. That is the 5th best in baseball. 144 ISO is middle of the pack. They've also only struck out 19.7% of the time, but this is a team that I expect to come back to earth as the sample size gets larger. Just looking at the names in this lineup, it's difficult to expect them to be that good. Jose Ramirez, we know, is very good. Franmil Reyes has plenty of power. Steven Kwan has been good and difficult to strike out. But overall, this is a lineup that does have a track record of playing in the major leagues and not being particularly good. I do expect them to come back to earth, and as a result, I like Kopash here in this spot. And number 1, Mackenzie Gore, $9,700 price tag, going up against the Chicago Cubs tonight in San Diego. Gore is projected for about 16% ownership with a 19% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. The Cubs have a 3.3 implied run total. Gore has a 3.45 xFIP and a 25.9% strikeout percentage so far this season. Like Kopash, he does also have an elevated walk percentage at 10.6%, but the Cubs as a whole have struck out 24% of the time this season. They have a 97 WRC plus, and Gore just looks like he's in a pretty good spot tonight. So to recap, the top 3 tournament stacks on DraftKings: number 3, the San Francisco Giants; Number 2, the Philadelphia Phillies. And number 1, the Milwaukee Brewers. And the top 3 tournament pitchers: number 3, Eliezer Hernandez. Number 2, Michael Kopash. And number 1, Mackenzie Gore.